A miracle happened in November when an SUV went airborne and flew over a car driven by a priest on his way to church.
I do believe it's a miracle and that God's hand was in it some way.
Father John Bach was in the white Hyundai on his way to Sunday Mass. The driver of the SUV had a seizure and lost control.
All of a sudden, I sensed something go by me, but I didn't really see it.
He had no idea what happened and went on to deliver Mass. Afterward, a police officer showed him the surveillance video.
Oh my God.
The pole the driver hit helped them avoid collision.
He hit it so perfectly that it sprung him up in the air like a pole vaulter. Perhaps a guardian angel has something to do with it.
This video from April shows the moment of impact when a speeding Ford Mustang hit a school bus full of middle school students. Kids climbed out of windows and the emergency door to safety. Witnesses also came to assist. The bus driver and 7 students were sent to the hospital for their injuries. Something similar happened in June with this Virginia school bus crash. Police say a Ford F-150 overcorrected after veering off the road, then slammed into the bus. The driver tried to maintain control of the vehicle, but the bus flipped onto its passenger side and slid into a ravine. Bystanders rushed to the aid of the students and adults by climbing in through the windows. The 5 special needs students and 2 adult workers were treated at area hospitals for non-life-threatening injuries. Also in June, a mom with a baby stroller stepped to the side of the road to allow a car to pass. Then, the wrong-way driver plowed right into them. They flew up into the air and crashed down on the car.
I remember hitting the windshield, I broke it with my head, and even worse, I thought my child was dead.
Rachel tried to move the stroller with her son strapped inside out of the car's path. Her son Charlie had a tire mark on the back of his head.
You can see that when he's in midair, he's hanging like this, arms, legs, head, and his head is actually grazed by the front left tire.
Rachel was scraped up and injured 3 discs in her back. A Good Samaritan who saw what happened crashed his truck into the 16-year-old fleeing driver. The driver pleaded guilty to assault and hit and run and was sentenced to 5 to 7 months at a juvenile detention camp. In January, video of this road rage incident in Miami was released. The video starts with Eric Popper relaxed and singing. Next, police say he cut off another car.
Oh my God.
You can hear the other driver honking his horn. Popper glared at the rearview mirror. He says the other driver tailgated him and made obscene hand gestures. Moments later, Popper opened his center console and removed a handgun. When the other vehicle pulled up, Popper opened fire. Cops say he fired 11 times. If you look closely, you can see the other driver apparently throw a water bottle at the car. Popper says he thought he was being fired upon and was acting in self-defense. In June, this man spent Father's Day protecting his child from a gunman at a gas station in Detroit. The suspect opened the door, pulled out a gun and clip from his pants, inserted the clip, and pointed it at a man inside who was holding a baby. The protective dad immediately reacted, swatting the gun away and then running further into the store as the gunman retreated outside. The suspect then backed away, turned around, and left. Afterward, a person of interest was put into custody. In November, security at a Buffalo, New York substance abuse treatment center stepped up when a man walked into the lobby with an AR-15. The guard went straight for the gunman. He wrestled him into a corner, pinned him up against a wall, and dragged him outside before other guards came to help. Cops say the incident was an attempted robbery for drugs. The suspect was arrested and charged with several felonies. This woman versus bison incident is from October.
I was way too close.
Rebecca Clark was hiking in a Texas state park when she came upon a herd of bison.
I'm gonna try to see if I can make it by. Wish me luck.
She waited for them to pass and engaged in conversation.
All right, guys, get going. Go over there to your babies so that I can get by. There you go. Get you going?
I just thought, well, I'd already passed him 2 miles ago, and then I came back through and I felt confident about it.
At first, the bison ignored her.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But as Rebecca got closer, one bison turned and growled before charging her. She dropped her phone as the beast pierced her in the back and sent her into a thorny bush.
Oh my God!
It felt like a truck hitting you. He gored me, he hooked me with his horn, flipped me up, almost like kind of backwards, kind of flipped me up, and then projected me forward into a mesquite bush.
Rebecca spent 6 days in the hospital with a large gash on her back. She says she was lucky she wasn't killed. This deadly police-involved shooting is from November. Cops showed up to a trailer after learning about a suspect wanted for an out-of-state warrant. Police say the woman who lives in the trailer told the 3 officers that no one was inside and gave them permission to enter and search it.
Sammy, this is the police department. If you're in here, you need to make yourself known.
Things quickly went left once they realized the suspect was hiding in a storage space underneath the bed. He appeared to immediately start firing once one of the officers lifted up the mattress. Flying debris hit one officer in the face and he was treated and released from a local hospital. The suspect was killed in the gunfire exchange.
Come out with your hands up!
Come out with your hands up.
Come out with your hands up!
Teen performed a good deed by driving to a house to return a lost purse.
There's hope for our younger generation.
Melina Marquez said he rang her doorbell after he found the bag at a grocery store. The driver's license inside belonged to her friend Eliana Martin, who used to live with her but hadn't updated her address.
So my aunt heard the ring go off, and so she opened the door and received the purse. She was a little confused.
It was in the parking lot.
In the parking lot?
Yeah.
So I asked my aunt, I said, did you get his name, or did you at least give him like 20 bucks? Excuse me. And she's like, no, I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, we have to find him.
The woman posted the video on social media. Eventually, 17-year-old Adrian Rodriguez identified himself as the Good Samaritan.
He answered, my mom's told me since I was little to always do the right thing, even when no one's watching. So that was nice. Also, he said, if I lost my stuff, I would want somebody to bring it back to me. So, 2 good reasons.
The woman also had a surprise for him.
If you found him, I put 20. If you found him, I put 50.
Yeah.
So
I
told that Melina, okay, let's do GoFundMe.
They raised thousands of dollars.
He could have just taken whatever was in the purse, and he didn't. He brought it back, and I think this just speaks a lot about him.
In May, these workers tried to figure out a way to ring this doorbell. They avoided what they thought was wet paint on the porch. One guy reached but couldn't make it. He tried with a pen but still came up short. Then, wait a second. They realized the paint wasn't wet at all. It was just really, really shiny. In July, this alarming video showed a UPS guy in distress from extreme heat. He struggled to make it to the front porch, then collapsed, overwhelmed by the 110-degree temps in Arizona. He rested for a moment to recover. Slowly, he got back up again and reached for the doorbell before stumbling back to his truck.
It's just a sickening feeling that you don't know what's going to happen to that guy if he goes to the next house or to his truck. You can see in the video, he's looking at his hands, shaking his hands. I mean, he could have a mini stroke or anything.
Surprisingly, UPS trucks have no air conditioning. After the incident, UPS said the driver was fine. They said, quote, our package delivery vehicles make frequent stops, making air conditioning ineffective.
Big for a 19-year-old kid? Wow.
It was a frightening moment on air in early December. Sportscaster Bob Rathbun slumped in his chair and started convulsing, while his co-anchor, unaware of the emergency, kept talking.
I look for this kid to have a really good first half of the season.
As Rathbun lost consciousness, someone off camera reached in to help him. The camera then cut away.
Bob's having a problem.
His rep said he, quote, briefly lost consciousness on the court. Emergency professionals treated Rathbun for dehydration. In March, 2 Ukrainian soldiers defused a live Russian bomb by hand. They carefully unscrewed the fuse as shells exploded nearby. That same month, this massive blast rocked a city in Ukraine. This man was shooting a selfie video when the missile struck. He miraculously survived. Afterward, one civilian shared a video diary as she walked through the rubble.
Russia bombarded yesterday and in the night and this morning the historical center of Kharkiv. This is the downtown. Show this to those in Russia.
In April, a Texas home invasion was caught on video. The suspects ordered the victims to get on the floor. As the terrifying invasion unfolded, the parents, out for the evening, watched in horror on their camera's app.
Hey, who's in my house? I got you on camera.
The cops are on the way.
The cops are on their way. My neighbors are there. They're calling the cops right now. Y'all better get out of my house. Y'all better get out of my house now.
It is a terrifying incident. If you watch the video there, you can see what a traumatic incident it actually was. As soon as that camera system activates and someone's talking to them saying, get out of my home, get out of my home, you can see how quickly they left.
In March, a sheriff's deputy escorting a man in a wheelchair into court wasn't expecting this. Arkansas sheriffs say the suspect was facing multiple charges. He reportedly claimed during his arrest that he was injured, so he was brought to the hospital. But he seemed to have miraculously recovered while entering the courthouse.
I'm gonna catch you, baby. I'm gonna shoot your. Call the police for me. Hey, call the police. Call the police. What way it go? This way? The wheelchair dude ran. He had a neck brace on and all that.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Didn't need that wheelchair very much, did he?
Hell no.
The suspect was gone, but not for long. Cops eventually apprehended him, and he faced an additional charge of third-degree escape.
Oh my God. Yeah, we're gonna see how long it takes to drop from 6,600 feet right through the clouds.
In February, this pilot wanted to treat others to some spectacular views. Blake shot this video while flying his plane over Nebraska. He shifted his engine into idle as he dropped through the clouds.
Stealing from a house of God. Surveillance video shows a masked man breaking into a Texas church. The suspect comes in through the door and then goes behind a desk and rummages through things. He's described as wearing dark clothing with a backpack, a black bandana as a mask with blonde hair. It happened at Lifebrook Church in Houston. The pastor told TV station KTRK that everything inside the church's safe was gone, including offerings from the prior Sunday's service. And yet, he forgives the suspect.
When I see that video, I feel sorry for the individual, really. If I could communicate anything from us as a church, it would be, we forgive you.
This isn't the first setback for the...
For help. In 2018, 7-year-old Emmy McCardell was sunbathing outside her home in Salt Lake City when a car pulled up and greeted her. He asked her a suspicious question.
No.
Emmy knew just what to do, yell no and run into her home.
I believe that he was looking for a child to take. She came running in and said, "Hey, there's a tricky guy outside that tried to get me."
I didn't want to go with him because he looked like a tricky man, and I didn't know him, so I didn't want to go with him. No.
You can hear him ask if she wants a bicycle, and she says no.
Michelle says she taught her 2 kids from an early age about stranger danger.
Never go with a tricky person because they try and take you to a bad place.
I'm so grateful that she knew what to do.
In 2021, a Good Samaritan noticed a teen doing this and called 911.
I've been following this Toyota Corolla from Madison County. This female on the passenger side, brunette, motioning for help, call 911.
She was giving the TikTok signal, the hand gesture signifying that she needed help.
They apparently learned the hand gesture after watching this demonstration on TikTok of a woman using the signal as her abuser stood in the background. Here's how it works. Place your hand like this, palms out, then tuck your thumb into the center of the palm and cover it with your fingers. It's a way to subtly let others know you're in distress without having to verbalize it.
Just all one fluid movement, and it says, I need somebody to check in with me.
A local business for help. Sammy Green was walking home from school and was approached by a stranger.
I guess she was harassing him on the way home and saying that she knew his family and she would take him to the Wawa to get some candy and kind of to stick with her. So I know something internally did not feel good to him, and he came right into Danny B. Funky.
Sammy was a regular at the gift shop, so an employee named Hannah handled the situation.
I mean, he was just so cute, but he walked right in the door, and the woman actually held the door open for him, kind of waiting for him to come back outside or see what he was kind of doing. And he came right around the counter and whispered in Hannah's ear and said, will you pretend to be my mom?
Hannah went to talk to the woman, but she took off. She locked the door and alerted her boss as to what happened.
Sam has been an inspiration. I've been getting messages from other parents in other states, and they're saying, oh my God, it opens up, it's a conversation starter for parents and children. And what would you do in this situation?
The woman was identified by police and was referred for mental health treatment.
I don't want this to shed, negative light on Pottstown. Like I said, I do think that this was an isolated issue, and they're going to get the woman the help and the care that she needs.
In 2022, after this child got lost, he approached this home desperate for somebody to help him.
What happened?
The 7-year-old was dropped off at the wrong bus stop in Omaha, Nebraska, and didn't know his way home.
But I don't want my mom to worry about me.
Quincy had no idea how to find his house. But the smart little boy did recognize the home of his friend Max, so he rang the doorbell.
Max's mom. My brother just left me out here.
Incredibly, Max's mom had just returned home 2 minutes earlier.
He thought he was going to be lost forever, is what he kept saying. He thought he was never going to find his parents. He thought he was never coming home.
Come in. I'll call Mom, okay? I told him that was not my stop. So then he opened the door, and then he said, get out.
Mom Michaela was outraged.
Quincy is probably one of the sweetest, most caring, and loving kids. So it's like, to be treated like that by an adult just infuriated me. There's directly behind the neighborhood. Anything could have happened.
They couldn't be more grateful for Good Samaritan Madison, aka Max's mom.
It's just the right place, right time situation.
I owe you everything.